I'm wrong. What's up? What's up? Abdul asked if I'm leaving Discord. I am leaving Discord just because it's kind of time. It's time to hop on there. We're entering a new phase. New phase of the whole thing. Well, who knows? Who knows exactly what's going to happen? But my senses tell me that like we are very close to the violence starting. Very close. Yeah. Well, 420 gaming says they better hurry up and get to it. Like, I mean, it's fucking coming. Don't worry about it. It'll show up. It's gonna be in a theater near you. I wouldn't worry about that. This is we're just kind of doing a I'm just reading your comments, so if you have questions or something, then I'll answer those. Zach asked how much food to have like stored away. I think that's kind of the. I mean, you should have. It's probably a good idea to store food. You know, like if you can't cover a period with food, you know, going and buying new food, you should probably have that period stored away. But the question kind of it kind of leads me to think that like you know there's a confusion of like how serious this is going to get. I mean, you can only shoot so much. I mean, I think that in terms of ammo, somebody said like, what would you recommend when it comes to reloading or sustaining ammo? I think reloading is probably a good idea. You know, if you get like a manual press, that's probably a good idea to keep your ammunition up. The easiest way would be to buy a 22 and then like a shitload of fucking, you know, buy like a couple of cases of several thousand rounds of 22 ammunition. And you use that for everything except shooting people, and then if you need to shoot people, then you can use something better for it. But you're not going to be shooting like a ton of bullets at people if that's what you think. I mean, unless you're just like shooting fucking like Afghani style, and just spraying bullets everywhere and not hitting anything. I would get a red dot. I mean, you should know how to use iron sights. You should know how to use a rifle without any sights on it at all. But you should know how to use iron sights. But you're going to be most effective with a red dot for sure. No, you guys don't have to go your separate ways. I'm not going to use Discord because, like, now that we're getting into the violent phase, I just don't want to be on. I want to be on like as minimum media as possible, and I don't want to like create a situation where I'm getting you guys in trouble or like in danger because they think that there's something going on. There's not, and like if you didn't know this, like Discord is not. Yeah, I mean, it's very convenient in terms of communication, but it is not a you know I mean, obviously the nature of Discord and like who owns it and stuff, like it's not going to be on your terms, so like you could potentially get like now that we're moving into the violence phase, um, it can get really dangerous because you're going to start losing the usual protection of law. Lord Masterization says, "What about the meme project?" Well, I mean, I tried to do the meme project. We did get really good memes. They didn't disseminate very well. I did about as much as I could. I put like, I don't know, 50 memes like through the stuff that I'm running, and like thought about it really hard and did it for like 2 days. I can't really do much more because it's gonna like trash that account. And I mean, you're gonna get doxxed no matter what. I just don't want. I don't want to be on there and pulling people into it when this whole thing gets violent because they're just gonna use it as they're just gonna read whatever into it that they want and use it to go after you guys. So that's why I'm getting off there. So at least I'm not pulling you in there. It was appropriate for like communication before this. Now we're getting like serious. I don't want to mess it up. I'll still make YouTube videos. How much longer until the violence can't be ignored by the public? I don't know. I mean, it's really up to you guys. I mean, and I don't mean that when I say it's up to you guys. I don't mean like you need to go do something. I'm saying like it's all going to depend on your tolerance. So basically, like right now, you've obviously got like a very significant tension buildup, and like if you hadn't noticed, it's basically like the world government is like basically like selecting a team that they've made that is mostly composed of like like who they've identified as like minorities, and then they've like created you know they've erased history, and then they've like created a false history in order to antagonize them into like action, and they're much more easily guided than people that aren't brainwashed, and so they're pretty quickly like directly guided into their direct action. And that's like we're at like the early phase because people are like testing, like they can't like put out a memo that says like it's okay, we're going to let you go kill people. And so like humanity by themselves has just been like slowly towing their way out into the water from the shore, and they're like finding out how deep they can get without getting taken down. And that's what I mean by we're in a new phase, because we are at the threshold of people starting to get like murdered. So like when that starts, it's going to you're quickly going to this thing is going to quickly go into the shape of something else that's going to be very dark, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be confused, uh, very deceived, and they're going to murder each other and try to murder everybody else, I guess. And it's going to get pretty bad. But that's where we're at, and that's why now at this point, even though world government has said that they don't want guns and shit like that, like we have reached the point where it's like the controlled Op 4 group, which is obviously like this Marxist kind of like loose affiliation of like what is identified as minority elements. They're like beginning. You saw a couple of them like getting armed around the country in the last few weeks, and now it's like becoming more prevalent. So what that means is that like they're getting ready to start they're not being stopped. They're pretty much getting like a fucking big green traffic light from the state of like you can go do whatever you want, and then like nobody else can touch you. And so like this is just going to continue until they start shooting people, which they're going to do. That is going to happen. Um, that's, believe it or not, that although that's going to be very ugly, that is not the dangerous part. The actual danger is when after they start doing that, and the state is not really permitted to give like a fucking robust response, and they're just kind of given like a the ability to do an impotent, limited response. What's going to happen is that you're going to have state elements, and the general public is going to lose faith in the state. Now they're not going to lose faith in money, which is the actual state, the people that control money. They're not going to lose faith in that because they're still going to be buying stuff. And so like to get their things done that they want to get done, they're going to be using money. So that's not going to go away. But the state structure is going to corrode away. And once the killings start, in terms of the like Marxist, whatever you want to call this like Op 4 element, when they start murdering people, like there's going to be a certain threshold. It's probably not going to be immediate. You're probably going to have like some murders build up, and people be like really depressed, and then you're going to get like that's when you're going to get the people that actually know how to kill people like responding, and that's when you're going to get the fucking like sea of blood, and shit is going to get fucking out of control fast. And by the way, that's also the dangerous part. That is the dangerous part. I mean, it totally depends on where you live. I mean, I would be. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think the suburbs are smart to live in a time of like the 90s, like in the 1990s. Like, I don't think it's the way for human beings to live. But that is like that's what everybody's asked for, so they've given it to you, and now that's what you got. So you gotta work with what you got, and that's why this video is called "You Rigged It, You Ride It," because you guys are going to be going into this with whatever the fuck you got right now. I mean, so big titty Wendigo says, what do you do if armed leftists threaten you? I mean, I don't know. Whatever you want. I probably do have connections for PBS 14. I'm not going to do that for one guy. So if you guys want to do a group buy, then you can do that, and then I'll do it in like one shot. You're gonna have to organize it on your own and get a hold of me. I got my email. I'm gonna need like I don't know what. Like I'm not gonna mess with the guy to like order fucking PS14s unless you guys want like 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're fucking expensive. I'm not gonna talk about. I'm not like doing like a PBS 14 deal here on the stream. They're fucking expensive. If you don't know what the price of PVS 14s are, then you know probably I don't know. You find some guys and send me an email. I'll tell you what they are. I gotta verify the price anyway. My pricing is like from 2017. I gotta verify if they can even still do it. I haven't asked. They're cheap. They're cheaper than MSRP. Yeah, again, the guy that I get them from gets them direct from one of the manufacturers. I'm not sure. Like, I don't have any plan. I'm taking this as I go along. So, like, I don't have a plan of like going dark or anything. I'm gonna try to do what I can. Um, I'm gonna try to do what I can, and you know, I'm gonna wait for clarity. Loki says he knows what this is. He might. I don't know. I haven't said it. So, you know, if you know, then you know. Um, it's not gonna be a time for a long time to say it. Do you know what I mean, Loki? I'm not turning away. I'm turning away. I'm turning away from. I am turning away from the. Uh, you know, like the like YouTube. YouTube is like me putting out information and then people can just see it if they want. Discord is like more like, you know, like actively engaging. It takes a lot of time and you know. I mean, I like talking to people, you know, especially if it helps them. But I don't want to. I mean, they pull a lot of data too, right? Like Discord pulls. You know, Discord can pull whatever they want off of your phone or your device. You know what I mean? Which is not a big deal now. It might be a big deal to people, you know, in a couple of years from now. And so, like, I just don't want to. Now that we're in the violence phase, I don't want to. I don't want to promote that for people. I mean, you do what you want, you know, like by all means. I just don't want to create. I don't want to like promote by being there a spot where people come in and unwittingly, you know, don't even understand what's going on, and then they're, you know, getting all of their shit harvested all the time. Lord Masterization says, Doug, is it done to buy land now or is it too late? So basically, the situation is that you've got, you know, you like land when this stuff gets really bad, land is going to get really cheap, but the other edge of that blade is that you're going to have inflation. You know, so it's you know, so as inflation sets in, you're going to have the price of land is also going to inflate, but everyone is going to be selling it, and so the you know, like the comparative ratio of what the land cost is going to go down. Does that make sense? I don't have any interviews lined up at all. That didn't really work out. That's okay. Like I tried to interview a lot of people. Nobody wants to interview. That's fine. Maybe they'll want to do some interviews when they're like standing around a fucking crater that used to be their world. Yeah, I mean, you will have an extended period where gold is going to be the stabilizer, right? So you're gonna get gold stabilization, but that's only limited. Adam Ritchie says, Doug, are you saying people will be selling their land for cash to feed their families? I don't know that. I don't know what they'll be selling it for, but I know that, you know, like historically and in probability, like it is going to be, you know, you're going to have people purging land because right now you've got a situation of abundance and, well, you know, there's like land, you know, it has tax liability, you know, and it's got like a state liability. And as things get a little more dire, people are going to purge that liability by selling it, you know, like in aggregate. And so, because there's going to be high supply and low demand, because, you know, equivocally, people are not going to be buying land because they're going to be like having a hard time. And so, you're going to have like, you know, your purchases are going to be few and your sellers are going to be many, and that's going to create a situation where, you know, obviously like your land is going to be really cheap, but you're also going to have inflation. So if you have cash right now, you know, if you have like 100 grand to buy a piece of land, then you know, the fucking land will probably go up to fucking $1 million. You know, $1 million will probably be $100,000 here in a couple of years. Yeah, property taxes are weird. um, they did that really early on. Like it's kind of confusing. I would love to say like that property tax came into the United States with like the Federal Reserve and shit. That's not true. It pretty much came in the, I believe in the early, like very early 1800s. Is like when property tax comes in, and like you still had like founding fathers and shit alive when they started implementing property tax. Yeah, it's 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 pretty confusing, the land tax thing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I guess nobody's perfect, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the founders were on board with the concept of property tax. They just couldn't hold it back. Like it wasn't a battle they were willing to fight to stop it. Yeah, the economic constriction that's coming up, that's going to be a crash, is going to be more severe than the 29 market crash. What skill will be the most useful if things accelerate? I would say like small scale farming would be the most useful, or being a doctor. Like if you can do medical procedures, I think that's probably the most useful. Rip Dam says, Doug, you think we'll get to the point where a financial collapse where debts are erased or reimagined? Yeah, Jubilee. Yeah, I do think you'll get there, but it'll only be for some of society, right? So like when the Jubilee happens, uh, like China is not going to be happy about the Jubilee, right? But yeah, you are gonna have a Jubilee on paper, not in the hearts of men. Everybody's gonna be all the people that lose something are gonna be upset about it. Yeah, they're the second. China is the second largest holder of bonds besides Japan. Japan's all right. I think they're just gonna let it go. China's gonna be resentful of it. This is a shirt that I'm wearing. What will happen to pensions and SS? Well, they're probably gonna go down the fucking toilet like everything else in the United States. It's gone. They were never a fucking good idea in the first place. Yeah, I mean your basic shit, right? I will do the solar a solar water still to show you guys just because it's so simple. So I'll do a video on that just so that you know how to. That's something like really simple you can do. Um, I think probably out of skill like medical skills and like producing resources from nothing, aka like farming or like lumber or anything like that is going to be like very useful because you're pretty much going to have a break in the importation, and so anything that you can provide here that's like you actually produce from nothing is going to be highly sought after. Yeah, I'll probably try to throw up eventually. I don't know when I'll get around to. I'm doing a lot of projects, and I'm like, I'm basically behind on everything in my life for like the past several years. So I'm just kind of having to like pick and choose what I knock out. I do have all the materials to build like a pyrolysis processing um, a receiver, and like processing plastic into fuel. And so when I build that, I'll do a video on that to show people how to do that and like, help them understand like what they're going to see and where, what it's going to look like and what to do with it. And then I'll probably do I'll probably do like, how to smelt your metal using like natural fuels and shit. So you can kind of get an idea of that. Yeah, the solar still, you can take water from anywhere and put it in it, and you're gonna get distilled water. So like you can go on the side of the road in a puddle on a road, and then put it into. I mean, you got to use like a high heat safe container, like a glass, like baking dish or something like that, and you just put water in it. Like you take mud water, you can put like anything, and all of your water is gonna evaporate off of it, and you're gonna get distilled water. Nope, I'm not starting a website. The probably the most useful thing that you could do would be to promote people to be independent of themselves, and also to like help people understand to make good decisions in the face of danger and be brave, and also at the same time maintain their understanding that like the this like world government apparatus is coming, and it's they're not the good guys. I mean, so no, solar panels are effective. They've got a lifespan. Like, I mean, it depends on what you buy, what you get, and like there's several chemistries of solar cells, different types, and they're good. The panels have a limited lifespan. You know, you've probably got like, I don't know, 30 years lifespan on a panel, and then your batteries are a majority of the cost. There are ways to make biochemical batteries, and it's actually a fairly simple process. It's just not, um, it's not practical for like everybody doing it because it requires a little bit of, you got to be like somewhat, focused and understand what you're doing, and most people aren't really capable of that. The So they're useful in the immediacy. They're not like a long term solution. They could definitely like provide you like I've got some solar panels just to run like 12-volt stuff if I need to, you know. Um, but I'm not like running. I'm not the biggest thing is like you can actually eliminate a lot of power use from your house, like by changing your routines and shit, and then use way less power, and that's really helpful to just change the lifestyle, like where you can just be creative and like analyze the situation and figure out like what you can actually do that's practical, and then start doing it now so you get transitioned into it and figure out all the nooks and crannies before the shit drops and you don't have any choice. Yeah, everybody's so this whiskey says my family and friends seem distracted with the bread and circuses right now. I don't think I can drop some bombs on them. Uh, yeah, you're that's what you're describing is pretty much the situation everywhere in the world, and like what's going on right now is not going to stop. So this is not like a temporary thing. This is not like some kind of flare up or something that you're going to get over. This is global. It's worldwide. The world government is going to take over for at least a period. It could be a significant period. It could be a long time. But they are going to be implementing that, and it's going to get so bad that like all the people that are the you know bread and circus fans are going to have like they're basically going to have like a road that they come to where they're either going to have to go full Stockholm syndrome, where they basically like don't acknowledge that it's immoral and wrong, and they just become world government cheerleaders, which is going to be pretty terrifying. Or they're going to go through a period of like cognitive dissonance so powerful that it's just going to like, it's going to be very difficult for people. It's going to be very traumatic. And then they'll, hopefully there's some people that will be able to see it for what it is and accept it, and then go forward from there with what they got. But you're probably gonna you're definitely like it's the hardest. The people that are gonna be the hardest hit that are not gonna be able to like have any kind of option to not going to be able to see or perceive any option other than to like go with the flow are people that are in cities, and that's solely based around the pragmatic situation that they're going to have to like negotiate, which is going to be like in their perception based on how they're living minute to minute. It's going to be most pragmatic to go with the flow, because they're literally going to be starting from nothing if they try to fucking like resist or leave or go somewhere else and start over. And so you're just going to see a bunch of people just like, they're just going to fucking, set their standards to match the situation and think of like a whole fucking phone book full of lies on why it's like a good thing. And they're going to be the bad guys. Scott says your live is not viewable on my sub list. I have to go to your page to see it. Yeah, so YouTube is fucking with this YouTube channel and suppressing it a bit, and has been for a long time. It's different things all the time. I've still got 2 more interviews with Pacone that I'm gonna release. I haven't worked on it because after I did the Pacone stuff, all the fucking shit started happening. The global destabilization operation began, and I've been trying to like focus on that, and so I just haven't done as much. And I also got really busy. Like I'm trying to get ready right now for the winter. Because I got to take care of my own shit too. Yeah, I mean, the stuff, like whiskey. I hear what you're saying. I mean, everybody's gonna make hard choices and be presented with challenges. Like you're just gonna have to fucking take it as you're gonna have to ride it as it comes because you know I'm sure that circumstantially some people have a lot smoother time than other people. Waterworld. Waterworld renegade feature. I don't know about that. In terms of the water part, probably more of like a fucking concrete sea world renegade adventure. I would describe it as that. It's gonna be pretty bad though. I mean, I can tell you that it's gonna be very demoralizing when it's gonna be very demoralizing. It's gonna have 2 phases of demoralization. One is gonna be like the opening salvo of like urbanite, you know, brain slaves that are like taking pleasure in like murdering and raping people and stuff. And that's going to be really interesting for society because they're going to have to like process it and make sense of it, and they're really going to like fight the. They're really going to want to. Most people are going to really want to fight the acknowledgement of what's going on, and it's going to cause a lot of mental issues in society. That's going to be the first phase. The second phase is going to be when the people in society that are competent like decide to fight back, and that's going to be demoralizing because it's just going to be like I mean, we're all kind of like asking for it in our own ways, but the it's going to be demoralizing because it's going to be so violent and so deadly that it's just going to be like very sad to see, like humans doing it to each other. And then you're probably gonna have a third wave, which is gonna be when you realize that like the people that you thought were um, like fighting back and like doing well and shit, and then you realize that they're just like swallowed up by fucking world government, like, and they basically just work for them now. That's gonna be like the three phases. They're all gonna be demoralizing. It's all gonna be demoralizing. If you're having a hard time now, you might want to dig in and find some, dig pretty deep because like we don't even have people dying really yet, you know. So if you're already demoralized, you need to, just prepare your heart to, you know, you gotta kind of like light a candle in there and hold on to it, and keep your love for people and for life and for what you call God. Yeah, I don't think it'll get like the road, but well, I'm sure it'll look like that in some areas probably. That's really circumstantially dependent. I mean, you're going to have a lot of people die in the long game. Like there's going to be a lot of lives lost. Uh, but there's going to be you got to have people around to rule over them. So you're going to have people around. I mean, immigrate to wherever you want to go. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not going. I'm assuming that I'm not gonna like be living on the other side of this. Pretty much no matter what. Like not even including like conflicts. Just in terms of like like I'm probably not gonna be here when this is done. I'm not really worried about it. Yeah, I mean, I think like somebody asked me, do you think surviving off of rabbits and fish is a viable plan? Yeah, of course. I mean, there's lots of viable plans if you do them. Like everything that you need is provided for you in abundance already. People have just let go of it, so you're gonna have to relearn all that shit. But yeah, it's absolutely viable. No, I mean, I don't think this is going to be like anything else. I think you're gonna have some like pretty dramatic displays of the depths of humanity, and then you're also going to have like some pretty dramatic displays of like state power, where it's just like I mean, you're going some at some point in this process, you're going to see the state, the like super state, like the world government is going to pull off the mask. That will happen like at some point in this. Now they're not going to win. I can tell you that. It probably is going to look like they're going to win, and get whatever they want, but they are going to lose eventually. It just may be, it's probably going to be a pretty tough little period here coming up. Whose eyes and ears, Oliver's? Yours or mine, or the people? Who are you talking about? I don't know what other accounts means, Loki. Yeah, I know. It's several scriptures, but but it's a reference to several different scriptures. That's I was just wondering what your context was. Speaking of which, I would recommend that you get right in terms of what you see of your own sight, and open yourself up to you know, receiving, uh, receiving word. System 3 asked me if I'm a Christian. I don't believe in religion. And I don't believe in science either. If that helps. System 3 asked me, do you believe in the big guy? Uh, I don't believe it's the guy. I don't believe it's a guy, and I don't use the word God. I mean, I do use the word God when I'm communicating to you guys or someone, so that you can understand what I'm saying. But I don't use that word. But it is the same thing that you're saying when you're talking about God. It is the reason I don't use the word God is because the word God has a connotation of ownership, like encompassment and ownership over the concept. And it's a flaw of human tongue and language that it's that way, and people don't necessarily intend it that way. It's just that that's the mechanic of, I'm extremely sensitive of like, through language, harnessing God and using it against people, because I think it's probably like one of the worst things that a person could do, and it's very unfavorable. And that is the reason I don't use the word. The word God stems from goat in High German. It's a relatively new word. The 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 God that is referenced in religion is certainly existed before the tongue before the tongue was ever there, and it certainly existed before you know man thought of a word for it. And it's pretty, like necessarily we can't comprehend the domain, because then we would be you know we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be subjected to what we are, the illusion, if we could surmount the domain to comprehend, and necessarily, because that is our a facet of our containment, and like beneath the firmament, and it's a long process. Now, Brad, do you foresee this extending to Canada? I mean, it already is in Canada. So Justin wants to know about Justin wants to is making a statement about the he says God really did choose the Jews. So like the flaw, we have serious problems with human language and with the uh, like all human language, and it's like a limitation of our containment, and you know the in order to create something that is not one dimensional and has is not like in permanent stasis and perpetuity, in order to have like change and things like that, you require reciprocation, a reference point, and a termination point, and that's like true of everything, and that's how all of this illusion is rendered, is in that mechanism. Um, it's like everything from your senses to the abstract ideas and the way that we think and the concept of time and all these things. It's all illusion. Um, the that doesn't mean that it's not significant. I'm just saying that it's not what it appears to us. It's not what it actually is. And like we are granted everything at all times, being suspended into manifestation simultaneously for everything. And there are a lot of different people that are connected, you know, and Israel, like Israel, the people, not necessarily the Jews, not the Jews in particular, but Israel. Um, they're the reference point, right? That allows definition and change for the other identities of creation to stem from and exist, like in relation. And so, like the term chosen is often confused by Jews and non-Jews to mean like a like that they are sanctified. The reality is that like the creation is a sanctification of he who is, as will be, and was and will be. And that's about as much as I'm going to talk about religion. Don't eat me. Asks, why don't you believe in science? Because it's a tangential and specific uh, perceptual interpretation of something that is greater and continuous and completely connected entirely in like all domains. It's all one thing, and science is the practical approach that humans are kind of subjected to in their limitation of perception to take a slice of it and then analyze it using our limited minds to draw out something that is useful, and then the way that we use its utility of what we find is to create our own endeavor to sit on the throne, and that is what science is. The So while it is like practical and has physical consequence, like it can be, you can test like falsifiability of it, and you're going to find that it's physically true. It doesn't acknowledge the greater context of where the fields of particular sciences sit within the greater creation, and they don't acknowledge the interconnectivity of all of the different disciplines, because they're all just iterations and parallels of the exact same thing. And when we examine a particular slice of phenomenon of creation, and when we take a narrow slice and then we assume with our senses what we see is the case, then it's like this. It's like analogous to this would be the study of like electromagnetism in a particular field, like in like optics or in color theory or anything like that. So, like when we look out and see color, we assume that is what's there, and that and then we build a model of it. And the reason that we do that is because it's practical, because it's useful, because we can like build things with it, and we can understand and comprehend it. The reason that it's practical is because we are attempting to build our own throne, and that's why it's sought after. It's not actually a path to understanding anything, because it's an illusion, and the color that you're seeing is simply the way that you have been created in order to be sensitive to that particular slice or layer of what is there. So let's say if you were an animal, like certain animals have sensitivity in like near infrared and infrared, for example. And this is just like a small example, just to flesh out a point. And so they look at the exact same thing as you in terms of light stimulation through photons. They're looking at the same thing as you, but they see things that you don't see because they're created with the sensitivity to pull something out at a different layer than what you pull out, even though you're viewing what you believe to be the same thing. And so, like color, for instance, as we like analyze it, is an extremely narrow layer that is not definitional or encompassing of what is actually there. It is just an extremely limited perceptual system that we've created that generally practically works, but it's not accurate, and it's very misleading to perpetuate that and to purvey it to people, because it's not what's there, and obviously there are other things there necessarily, because of the example of like animals that have different ocular construction, where they have sensitivities and other spectrums that we can't perceive, and these are all layered there, and just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. And it's actually, what's really going on is that it's infinitely deep and it has no beginning and no ending, and that is what's really going on. And the reason that you are seeing what you're seeing is because that is what you're supposed to see, because that's what you were created to see, right? And so what you see is not really what is there, and neither is the animal that has the sensitivity in the infrared range. And so there actually is no color. Like there's no color at all. It's just that you're created to see color, because that's what's meant for you. And the reason that there are differences in what we perceive, between beings, is because that is the method of creating the imbalance of disparity between perceptual qualities and the sight of worlds, in order to displace us and keep us moving, so that we are not in a stasis, so that we can continue to make change. And not only is it true among creatures and men, but it's also true. The same thing is also true between people, and so each each individual, like each man, has an entirely unique construction of perception. I'm not talking about like their. I'm not even talking about the quality of their abstraction and their thought as they consider things. I mean, literally, like what you see is entirely constructed for each person, and it's different. And the way that it ties into how you perceive entropy as you exist as we know it here is has an influence on what you the way that you see things and the way that you contrast things. And this is what causes the opportunity for uh, imbalance and displacement between people. And a part of that is the lack of recognition, man to man, that the error of judgment that we all see exactly the same thing, and that when someone sees something different from us, that they're wrong. And the actual reality is that you all see different things, and every single one of them is absolutely correct, even when you're wrong, right? Like they're all correct simultaneously, and you're seeing the slice of what you're supposed to see. And that the difference in perception is not only in the way that your physicality, like the way that your tissues are constructed and shapes and like small minutiae. It's not only that. It's your position and your time and like what is between you and what you're looking at and how the light is hitting it and like what you ate and what you. I mean, it's like it's a trillions of facets that influence everything all the time, and they give a perceptual quality that is entirely different between people. And what you see, like what you perceive, regardless of what it is always rendered in contrast because that is the law. That is the law of creation. It could have been anything at all, but this is the way that it is. And so, just like computer code is like a zero then a one, and creation is like not existent then existent. It is everything that you see everything that you see, hear, touch, think, feel, consider, perceive. It's all a quality of contrast, and if there is no contrast, if it is absolute stasis, then you won't perceive it. And that is the reason that that's also the reason that you can do a phase inversion on any sense. So like if you took a color and then you found the phase opposite within the band that you're sensitive to with like human sight, which is slightly individual depending on the person and their cone construction. If you take two opposite, two opposite wavelengths of color that are exactly opposite, and then you hold the two colors against each other, where they come together creates an inverse cancellation where you actually won't see any color there. You will see something that appears like electricity. And if you take sound, and if you could take like a sound wave and then come up with the inverse, it's actually I've never seen it in real life. I'm sure that there are Easter eggs that have been left for us to do that, but I'm not aware of them. But in something like digital modeling, like if you take an audio waveform like a sound or a song, and then you create an inversion of it, and then you stack it on the bottom, it's going to cancel each other out, and you're not going to hear anything. That's a digital representation. If you did it in real life, you would hear what is actually there, which is not the sound that you hear. If you were to stare at, likewise, everything's rendered in contrast, like with the example of sight. When you take, everything that you see all the time is rendered by contrast. So like color as you perceive it is constantly built through your faculties in real time by its contrast, and that is the reason that if you take, like I've done the example before where I took two color swatches from like a paint store of gray, and then you take, two different colors as the background colors, and you put them behind the gray, and then the two grays that are the exact same color that were pulled out of the same swatch are going to, appear different colors. Like they're going to look like different shades of gray, and that's a representation of, what your perception being built on contrast entirely. And so the example of using gray is kind of like a concentrated version of that demonstrates that effect, that quality, that law. It demonstrates it very clearly, and there are, most of it is more subtle than that, but it's absolute and exists all the time in all situations all the time, even if you can't perceive it. It's like that is what's going on. And like when you, for instance, when you like stare at a spot on the wall for a long time, and then the image of like what you're looking at, if you try to hold your eyes still, begins to disappear and like eat away at itself. That is that is a quality of like you can't really hold your eyes still, but you can hold them still enough to cause your brain, as it's processing the change in contrast over the delta of time, it's enough to fool the brain into thinking that there isn't a change, and then so your brain starts to turn off that perceptual input, in kind of a blotted pattern around what you're looking at, because that's just the way that that's a quality of how it works. Like you're rendering your perception of sight from contrast. There are actually. I gotta go. Have a good night.